or if it will be later, but I'm still going to record this for posterity's sake either way, because why not? And I am here today with the LEGO AlphaTeam 4789 AT Aquatic Mech. This is from the Mission Deep Sea Subwave, no pun intended, from LEGO AlphaTeam, where it has a diver's theme to it. This is where the same sub-theme that my first LEGO video on this channel came from, just because. And I do love the aquatic stuff. I do love the underwater diving stuff. I did have the set back in the day. This released in 2002 and has 164 pieces, one minifigure of Dash, one shark, swordfish kind of thing. I'm going to look more into that in just a moment. And I should have looked at the retail price before starting this video. Ages 7 to 12. This was originally an exclusive. I remember this being exclusively sold at Toys R Us back in the day. Like, I almost have photographic memory of seeing this set and a Jack Stone set exclusively available at Toys R Us from my knowledge. And picking up both of them almost the same day, if I recall correctly. So that was fun. And that was the kind of thing where it's like, okay, yeah, Jack Stone is definitely for a younger audience. But I was, 7 years old at the time? I was still willing to try it out because it was LEGO. Same thing with Galador, because it was LEGO. If you thought I was a fanboy now, should have seen me back then. Alright, give me one moment. I'm looking up the set number on Brickset. Retail limited release. Yep, exactly. Originally, well, they put it in British pounds, so I'm going to have to convert that. Originally, in British pounds, was $14.99. Value of this thing sealed nowadays goes between $40 and $60. I am not planning to sell this one. That's why this stream is here, because I'm going to build it. It does have a little bit of wear on the box on that side. It's a little bit crunchy. Not too much, but still I can see it at certain angles. So $14.99, what is it nowadays? What is the conversion? Alright, it'd be nice if I could just highlight the one thing. Apparently the designer is listed on here on Brickset. Henrik Anderson. Thank you, Henrik. This is one of those sets that I mean, not only did I get it back in the day because it looked like a cool mech, not only because it had a swordfish shark thing with it, I didn't have Dash in Mission Deep Sea up to that point. And even up to that point, I did not have all of the AlphaTeam members. I didn't have Flex, and I didn't have Cam. And the first ones of those, like, I wanted to collect all the agents, definitely. First wave, I had everybody except for Cam and Flex. I did not have the Ogle Command Center, but I'm pretty sure I had every other set at that time. Much later, I would get all of them, so I do have the first wave now complete. And I say now, I mean after the fact. I don't mean like just, yesterday before this video is recorded or something. I mean like years and years later down the road. They do show all of them on the top here, which is pretty nice. And every single box had it highlighted which figures you got with it. So that was also really cool on its own. Out of these, I don't think I'm missing anybody. I'd have to check again about Radia. I think I have Crunch. They were both in the same set from this wave. The first cam that I got was from this wave. The first Flex that I got was from this wave. Even though they're in separate sets, because the first wave had them both paired together. The second wave had Crunch and Radia together. And then there were a couple other sets here and there. I think that some of them were paired up. There were also a couple of polybags and small box sets. I do not have any of those, except for, oh, hold on. That's sitting right here. Except for one of them. I have one of the small box sets from back in the day. The other ones I probably could just build them out of parts, honestly, but I don't have them authentically. So there are some of the ones I would see sometimes in Walgreens. My local Walgreens had these. And the one I had was this. 4798. I don't know the name of it, and I think it's had a couple different distributions, so the name might have varied. I do also remember that they had a Manta Ray set that might have also been an exclusive, but I don't know off the top of my head. And there's what the main sets are like from this theme. There's all the figures there, except for the drones. Technically, yeah, there would be other figures in here, but they're pretty much the same. Actually, there's two versions of drones. One of them was like a Captain Admiral kind of thing that came with the shark sub. I think it was only in that set. I love AlphaTeam. I grew up with it, and I really enjoyed the theme back in the day. All the different versions of it. And I'm not asking for it to come back, but I am still doing stuff with it. So I have a brick theory I've been working on for a while related to AlphaTeam, which I think will be really fun. And I also have a, I would love to do a collection video because I have almost all of the sets from all of the waves. Only missing like one or two main ones outside of those polybag things, polyboxes I was talking about. Get on to the rest of this. Got two different alternate builds on the back of the box for different submarines, using parts from the set, as they did back in the day. One of the old quotes, just imagine, or slogans. There it is from the bottom as well. I do love that the entire box has like this metal framework look around it. Very dark imagery, or very dark coloring, I should say, outside of the sets. I probably still have it. The AlphaTeam Mission Deep Sea book cover. This was a thing they printed. I forget exactly how I got mine, but I know that they still exist. They still have, some people still have them on Bricklink for sale. That you could wrap around your school books with. And it had a whole bunch of photos just from the sets themselves. I don't think there was anything particularly special to those. But it's just another option that they had. And he's doing the wave there. Wobbly hands. Alright, time to destroy some value. I got this a while ago from eBay. I did not get this for the $40 to $60 that other people, nowadays would sell it for. But I did want to document this because it's not often I buy an old Lego set sealed and open it to build. So I wanted to document this this part of it. If I ever put this into a review, I will have to include this section of it. So I've opened it up. The contents inside have one big bag full of pieces, and our Dash minifigure is in there with the head assembled to the torso. Next we have a smaller bag with some smaller parts in there. The oxygen tank. Some propellers. We've got an even smaller bag that has Dash's hairpiece in here, so you can use it outside of the diving suit. And I believe the shark was in the large bag. Both parts of it were inside of here. We've also got ourselves a 2002 catalog. I have a dozen of these things from back in the day to take a look at all the different sets they had back in the time. The teaser for Lego Galador was here. They show most of the mainline sets there. We got Lego Sports, Lego Harry Potter, some of the video games for each of those. The other releases, like half-year releases of some of the sets. I got Lego Jack Stone, which is brand new. And then there's the AlphaTeam sets, the mainline ones that they had. They did have several other ones. This one in particular being a Toys R Us exclusive. And technically they have two different kinds of drones. They only highlight one here, but there should be two. Because the other one exclusively was released in the Shark sub. And then you have the first wave of AlphaTeam sets. And this, I'll talk about that during the build, because that's interesting. That is its own history. We got Lego Drum Racers, Lego Studios. The earlier licensed sets for Jurassic Park and Spider-Man would have been in the theme. Life on Mars. Lego Dinosaurs with like larger brick-built dinosaurs. We got trains where it only shows the one train set, the Railway Express. Bionicle, that existed in here. And even some of the new 2002 sets on the corner. And the video games. Legoland California and Lego Wear advertisement. And how to sign up for the Lego Mania magazine. Very cool seeing this again in brand new shape. The instruction manual, just to go through that a little bit, not through every single step in this clip. So it starts out showing Dash with the helmet on, but yes, the hairpiece is included as I showed, so you could actually keep them outside of the suit. And if I scroll forward, I love the background having this underwater look to it. They have the depth measures at the ends of the instruction pages. And if I go further in here, towards the end of it, there is no separate comic. Most of the Mission Deep Sea stuff, they would have a comic towards the end or beginning of the instruction manual. This one only has the illustration for the maze. So sometimes they have different puzzles or mazes that you could solve at the end of the instructions. And one of those codes that you find in the maze would be used on the LEGO website. Sometimes to unlock special features or screensavers, downloads, things like that. And this is only one of the alternate builds that they show on the back of the box, or the other one right there. So if you did want to see both of them, there they are in the same frame. But yeah, it's unfortunate they only put one on the back of the instruction manual. Let's get this thing built. I'm going to keep looking for... Why can't I... Can I paste it? No. $14.99 British to American dollar. Pretty sure that's what it was. Yeah. So it's about $20 in the United States. If the conversion is done correctly. All right. I'm excited. I could have easily built this set again from my own... Oh, sorry. I gotta get the crinkles out of the way. I could have easily built the set again from my collection, from the parts in there. But the only thing I was really skeptical about was the shark thing. I could not remember for the life of me where mine is. Did I lose it? Did I, I mean, I definitely owned it because I own the set, but I have no idea where that original shark went. And yeah, I could have probably got that on its own, but I also wanted the joy of building the set again. And I could add it with the other agents and things. AlphaTeam and other stuff. Ultra agents, back in the day. So welcome aboard. 19 years later, you've awakened. Also want to point out that there is a small Technic piece that's put in here to wrap around the elastic bands for the set. I kind of wonder, now that there's a brand new opening of it, if the rubber bands will hold together, because these are liable to break. And over time, snap apart or stick together or something, in different ways. Also very interesting here, a little sprue for the flippers. I'm going to keep these on here during the build, but I will use other ones in the review to show how it looks on the figure. And let's see those prints. It's looking pretty good. Pretty crisp and clear there, even if it's not all the way forward on the camera. Right. Take a look at Dash before I put the suit on him. He looks pretty good. Very nicely there. And I'll get the hairpiece. Yeah, this is the old brown. This is before this is actually old brown, old gray, old dark gray. So they didn't do any of the dark bluish stuff yet by this period in LEGO history. So yeah, he looks pretty spiffy there. And surprisingly, in this set, compared to other ones, they don't actually give the goggles, the snorkel piece. Instead, it's just a regular motorcycle helmet, a more regular visor. Don't know why. And there's also an extra visor in here too. Don't know why they did that, but they did. There we have our swordfish shark. I don't know exactly what it's supposed to be, but it's based on the shark body, has the swordfish kind of head, you know, to him. I gotta keep that safe and sound so I don't lose him like the last one. No evil orbs in here. It's not really a conflict in the box. You could kind of do that with the shark. I'm gonna keep calling it a shark in this video. You could do that technically with the shark in the set, but it's not really. I don't know if it's assumed to be mind controlled or taken over by Ogle. For those who don't know, the main story of the sets is based on the video game because the video game came out before the sets were even a concept. Like the whole idea of the video game was pitched to Lego as like, hey, we should make it an agent theme where, you know, they have these Lego operatives that can go around solving puzzles in the video game. And then, well, like the spy agent theming of it came more into play during development because originally it would have looked like Master Builders, honestly. It would have looked like they were from the Lego movie. Like, one guy was a chef, one guy was, you know, everybody had a different occupation. It weren't specifically, you know, spy themed. It was interesting. And Nick on Planet Ripple did a great video about that. So if you want to learn more, check him out. Check him out in general. He's got really good stuff. He's got a lot of his own stuff that he does very well. This is not a shameless plug. This is not something he told me to say. This is something that I wanted to bring up here because I really enjoy it. Uh-oh. Are we missing a piece? Okay. I was going to say, what's going to happen if I'm missing a piece from a 19-year-old set in a color they don't make anymore? Kind of hard to replace that. Call customer service and say, hey, I don't have this wedge brick or wedge plate that you no longer make in this color. Although that would be fascinating for a brand new box all these years to have a defect to it. I've never had that when picking up old Lego because, like I said, I don't usually pick them up old sealed Lego. Not often. I usually don't mind if there's a used, you know, fairly complete set of it. I've picked up some with boxes, but they still had all the parts built at one point. So yeah, what was that thing I was talking about before that I'm sure everybody's curious about? When I said that one of those AlphaTeam sets actually had some fascinating history to it. Well, what was it? 6776? Let me look back in the catalog. Yes, 6776, Ogle's Command Center, 2001, had the unfortunate early cancellation in that year. Although it is surprising that they still advertised it for the 2002 catalog because in October of that year, the set was canceled early because I think you can piece this together yourself. But I'm gonna lay out that set had a comic in the back of it. Many of the AlphaTeam sets had comics. And this one's a villain set, so it's like, okay, how are we going to show that this villain wants to take over the world? Okay, we have a comic in which he is dropping all of these orbs out of a rocket ship. And the rocket ship is going over a generic Lego city, infecting people. Keep in mind, also, that this particular Lego set, the Ogle Command Center, which I've actually reviewed on my channel long before I knew about this controversy, but long after it was discontinued. This Lego set has a play feature built in in which you can tear apart the main tower of the set. You can shoot it using one of the other AlphaTeam sets, the AlphaTeam Bomb Squad. And if you hit it in 2 specific points that are made to hinge backward, the top of the tower will collapse. It'll literally tilt forward and part of it will fall out. Keep in mind, this is 2001 when this was released. And granted, this was released, I want to say March, April or so, like spring in 2001, basically. So this was long before September. This was long before it would have been problematic. But the coincidence was still deemed, quote unquote, inappropriate. I have actually found recently I want to say over a year ago, I had actually found, traces of the controversy that the instructions were altered or the set was repealed early or something like that. I thought it was just a rumor. I did not believe this was actually a thing, or if it was like, oh, they did that by coincidence or something. But lo and behold, the other night, I found actual proof of it from LEGO itself. There was a post on Lugnet back in the day in October of 2001, early October, like October 5th or something, in which the Ogle Command Center set was removed from stores because of the aggressive themes, as they called it, in the instruction manual, and inappropriate imagery. And they did mention by name the 9/11 attacks as an unfortunate timing for it. So that literally blew my mind. I was like, I can't believe that actually happened. By circumstance, they had to remove that set. It's not exactly a rare set nowadays. It was still common enough that I remember I picked it up years ago on eBay without paying through the nose for it, or not like having that controversy attached to it any longer. I don't know if it was really a public record or anything, like everybody knew about it, or if it was just because this was posted on Lugnet, it was only people in the know, So that might have also been part of it. It was like, okay, only a handful of people knew, but many others have speculated. And now I know for sure. And granted, that was something that happened 20 years ago. I'm not saying that the effects aren't still felt and that it hasn't changed how we live in the United States. And to some degree, how other countries handle things. But it is interesting that for a toy that was released before that, LEGO felt strongly enough to remove it before its cycle. And it also makes me wonder if there were stores who didn't know about that, who didn't see it that way, if they didn't get the memo, if it still continued. I mean, like I just said, we saw it in the 2002 catalog. So, I don't know. What's up with that? Also, I will attribute this is a very interesting building technique in here, that the finger joints that they no longer use are used in here in a very interesting way. That they use the panel piece first. Normally you would have this piece used in the assembly, but they flipped it on this one for the canopy piece. So, okay. It is cool. Now, as far as mechs go in LEGO, this is not bad. And this is definitely on par for what they've done back in the day. They've had several LEGO mechs that would have features like this. I can remember some from Robo Riders to Rock Raiders to this. where they have the legs moving back and forth in a shifting function. They did not have any posable legs really until much later, especially during the Exoforce theme. But the way they did them in the 90s, 2000s are still respectable. They still work. I do have the other ones. I would love to build them again. I've also been meaning to build the other Rock Raider sets again, in general. Because I have all of them except for the Chrome Crusher and the Hover Scout. I probably have enough pieces to build the Hover Scout, but I just haven't built it yet. Or, I haven't picked up anyone who's had a copy of the set with paper instructions or anything like that. I think I have the paper instructions for the Chrome Crusher because I got it in a lot from other Rock Raider sets. And there are some parts of it I have, but currently not enough to build the whole thing. Especially when that one has more exclusive parts to it. Anyways, I'm excited for this part because now we're going to put together the claw hand. This is something that they had for a couple of different LEGO themes, including AlphaTeam. They also had this in Life on Mars. I want to say... I'm trying to remember which other themes it was. Those are the two I remember the most, and a couple different sets of each. But what I'm curious about right now is how they will handle these. These are brand new. All right, success. So in this pack, they gave me 4 of them, which is good, because I would probably need them once these snap. These, unfortunately, over time, have worn out to the point where they would either stick onto the pieces themselves, or they would snap apart, or both. I have ones from back in the day that did that. So they're not made to last. I have seen, I think sometimes people use the white rubber bands that were made after this point to substitute. And they work well enough. They get the job done. Okay, for the second arm. There's one thing I will say for a lot of diving themes that always disappoints me. It's more about the vehicles used for exploration than the actual place they're exploring. You don't get a lot of rock formations. You don't get a lot of, coral. You don't get a lot of underwater, like, anything to explore that often. It's usually in, like, 1 or 2 sets from a given theme in general. For this one being an underwater theme, it's basically none of them, or very little in them. So this little seaweed thing, that's your environment. And that is the same thing that they would use in, like, several of the other sets. AlphaTeam Robot Diver, yep, it's got it. I think there's a couple other ones. I'm trying to remember exactly which. I don't have the big AlphaTeam sub. It's the one back here. I don't have that, so I don't know about that one. There's one that's not pictured on here that they use it. There's like the manta ray looking one for the Ogle team. Maybe 1 or 2 others. I can't remember from here exactly. It is a little bit weird, I will say, now in retrospect, about the box art. Like, I get that they tried to fade these between black and between green to get that underwater vibe, that it's like appearing out of the ocean, out of the water from that. But it's a little misleading, like some of the coloring on there, to see what the actual set will look like. Okay. But yeah, most of these other ones I believe I have and probably still have a lot of them to build. But yeah. I grew up with a couple of these back in the day. They were fun. I liked it just for being an extension of AlphaTeam. I don't remember if I liked it specifically because it was diving. It's like I was already into AlphaTeam, so that made it good, made it cool. I got 2 of these on the bottom. This piece is scratched. Didn't even notice that before, but out of the box, this thing was a little marking on it. Not all of them do. Okie doke. This was a pretty new canopy piece for that time. In 2002, I remember a lot of Star Wars sets used it for like Jedi Interceptors, and I know later on they used it for like Episode 3 sets. They didn't have many colors of it either, if I remember correctly. Also, should mention we got 2 of these, but I think it's not both used on the same thing. I forgot instantly this is supposed to be used on another part of the set. But it's an interesting idea here, at least, that you have this as like the metal framing around the mech, for that canopy. There you go. It can open up, fit a figure in there, a little bit tight, but I can always move the arms and these pieces around to fit them in there. I'll do that a little bit later. This almost looks like a sub by itself, honestly. It's not really intended to pop off as a sub. Okay, look. Excuse me. Technically, a set like this would count towards Bazaar Lego because it was a retail exclusive. I do have trace articles in the book so far about retail exclusives. And this is like good, like, it's a bigger set. Could have been a really small one. The Jack Stone set, that was like roughly the same price. Much smaller, much less pieces. And the special thing about it was that it used a sound brick. So it had a little siren that would run. Unfortunately, mine has died many years ago. I would have loved if it was still working. If I can find one that's still working. I don't even know if you can change the batteries on it. Not every Lego sound and light brick had a changeable battery. I love these great pieces too. They're great for extra detail. I think now it just has like a steady note, just a beep, like deadline or flat line on it. Oh, I forgot 2 of these. There we go. There's also an interesting technique that they use the robot bodies for the smaller mechs as pillars for the feet on this mech. Gives some nice shape to it too. So we got this one, and this one. we got these pieces on the back. No, you don't see pieces like that anymore. I mean, you still find the same kind of slope, but normally they'd have the underside taken care of, like actually covered up a bit. In some cases, I find that a bit worse because, yes, structurally it actually works better, but you're more likely to lose a piece inside of there as opposed to these. Because with these, it's one open square hole, so you could easily get them out. A lot of Lego pieces, you'll have something stuck in there that is very hard to get out between the walls of the brick and the tubes, the inner side, anti-stud, whatever it's called. I think most people call them anti-studs, but officially called tubes. That's as far as the legs move, and that's the main function of them. So you can actually have them like shifting forward and backward. There's our mech. You still got a lot of range of posing the arms though. These are kind of like the Galador arms. They're not actually from the Galador sets, but they work similarly. Actually. Moving back and forth. It looks pretty good as a mech from the outside of it. Very basic compared to what we have nowadays, of course, but it gets the job done. Still got a lot of function. And one of those functions is actually something else we're building right now. So the TV sub, I guess, we'll call it that. The TV sub that's included in this set is also from many other sets in this theme. I think 2 of the other ones have it. The set with Cam, I remember, has it. And I want to say this one definitely has it. You see it right there. I want to say this one has it. I'm not entirely sure. And then, yeah,